Full Effect, Whiskey and Wisdom, episode number 4, season 3. New episode, new season, all that other stuff, man. Let's get it. And as always, we're gonna always start it off with the two in the glass, fresh libation.
Ooh-wee.
And like I say all the time, if you put cherries in, I don't blame you. I won't judge you.
Oh man.
You
Dress
know
it
what I
up the way
mean?
you want.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But we back again, like I said, episode number 4. Good brothers as always, man. It's your boy Bruce talking to you. And I'm joined by my best boys, my not boys, what am I talking about? My best men, my brothers. Tyrone, what it do?
What up? What up?
Mike in the house. Smoke Daddy.
Salutations.
uh,
That man getting that smoke grill, that smoke ready, boy.
you ain't lying, boy. I thought I smelt you the other day, bro. Like, yeah, coming all the way from down there.
hey, man. Smoke rings on deck.
Hey.
I ain't
Smoke
mad
rings
at it.
on deck.
I ain't mad at it. How y'all brothers doing, man? How
Yes,
was
sir.
y'all week?
It was good, man. You know, another week in the books, man. Just thankful to be able to see it.
Yeah, I'm in the same place, man. Just happy to feel another one, man. You know, had some experiences this week, but you know, we here, we back, doing it as always, man. How about you, bro? I already know what you're about to say.
Hey, another blessed one in the books, baby.
Facts.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
I get you, man. I get you, man. You know, stay blessed, stay woke, stay awake, stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the main thing right now, man. Staying healthy. I know y'all seen some of the news, man. We didn't talk about it last week. We haven't talked about, you know, we're trying to keep out of the current stuff, but I'm gonna bring this up to kind of go somewhere with it. Jay-Z's been in the news a lot as of recent, making some big moves. Some big moves. I feel like you either love or you hate Jay-Z moves. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that kind of energy out there, but to kind of see where I'm going with this, man, Jay-Z made some news. He sold 50% of his ownership in the Ace of Spade. What was that? That was last week.
Mm-hmm.
This week,
Yeah.
sold half of Tidal to Jack, the owner of Twitter. So you know he sold some ownership there, and what it made me think of, man, the reason why I feel like people be having him mistaken is that they feel that he's got to be the one in the room, not being able to hear or observe what other people are saying and doing. And I think some of the reasons why he's been able to make these opportunities is he's comfortable not being the smartest person in the room. He's comfortable not absolutely needing to lead the room. You know what I mean? Like he wants to just be in the room, pick brains, and give knowledge where he has it, but he doesn't have to be the guy. You know what I mean? It seems like he almost is almost in a standoffish way. He doesn't even want to be the main person in the room. You know what I mean? And I think that's some of the reasons why he's been able to make some of the moves that he's been making. But just to you, brothers, I'm gonna start there. How y'all feel about these moves Jay-Z's been making, man, and kind of what I went and started in from there with him being in the room.
I mean, I'm excited about the moves he's making. But I'm always trying to figure out the long term play and kind of see what the blueprint is and see how I can use it for myself because in the past we've looked at him a little sideways from who he may have been surrounding himself with at that point in time, or what types of rooms he was in and having certain conversations. Um, and we kind of may have judged those too early to know what the long term play was. So I'm just excited to see where this is going to go because you know, from all of the business ventures that I'm aware of, they have seemed to have been successful, but also gearing him up for something else bigger. So I'm just excited to see where this one goes as well.
Yeah, I think Ty hit the nail right on the head. That um, these are setting up to be something extravagant. What it is, we have no idea. But when it happens, the light bulbs can go off for a lot of people. I would like to think. I seen Chad Johnson and Ocho Cinco mention something the other day when it kind of made a lot of sense. It's possible that he may be gearing up and getting a lot of cash in hand in reserve to make a large purchase, maybe a football team, perchance, maybe the Dolphins. Stephen Ross, who's the owner of the Dolphins right now, has kind of denied a lot of reports, but I think Jay Z, being as connected as he is with J Lo and the Williams sisters, who are also part of the ownership group, may have kind of gotten some information that they might have passed along. So, with him knowing that and the circles that he's now traveling in and the relationships that he's developed between Rock Nation and the NFL, it would make perfect sense. But we kind of almost could see that move coming a mile away when he first made that partnership. So Hove is always playing checkers. I mean chess. So he's never playing checkers, man. He's always 2 or 3 moves ahead of everybody else, and this is just another. this is just another example of how he's just transformed from a rapper to a businessman to a mogul, uh, to now somebody who's going to be revered in many more ways than one, and he's still at the top of his game from a musician standpoint. So all praises to Hove. Also, he's got board. He's got also got a board seat to his name too now, being he's on the board of Square. So I'm curious to see what Tidal and Square are going to do. Um, you know, some artists are going to start trying to basically, hey man, y'all want a mixtape, y'all want an album? Here, Cash App, Square, do what you need to do. Send the money directly to us. You don't need to go to the label no more. Just put the money in our hands. We're independent. It's gonna be a beneficial for a lot of people. So, shouts out to Hove, man, for sure.
Facts. That's why I want to kind of bring it up, man. I think a lot of the moves he's being able to make is just being able to be around. You know what I mean? He's been able to be around. You start to connect with people a little bit more, and like I said, not needing to be the main guy in the room. You know what I mean? I think people get it mixed up where they be like, "Oh man, I want to lead the flock." You know what I mean? But if you as a leader don't have the knowledge to be able to progress every step it takes or be able to maneuver around people, because if whenever you're leading a flock, you got to be able to communicate to other flocks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
or to other
Yeah.
leaders. And if you don't know how to float in other rooms, and rooms are full of all kinds of people, Jay Z said that. "I'll show you how to move in a room full of vultures." You know what I mean? But he's been able to pick out from those rooms of vultures who he can actually connect with and make some of these changes. Um, I don't look at it as like, oh man, it's just him as a black man doing this. I look at him as this is him as a businessman making these moves. And he's showing that look, from any situation you can make this happen too. You know what I mean? I sold drugs. You know what I mean? And I happen to be able to float in this room.
Yeah,
Gain some of this knowledge about what's going on with Square and what their possibilities may be. Gain some of the knowledge from Warren Buffett or how to capitalize moving cash and you know what I mean, what that actually means and having equity. You know what I mean? Like it's just not sitting up leading a bunch of people to, oh man, we all gotta carry cash on us and we all gotta do that. Like, to do what with exactly? You know what I mean? I feel like he's just kind of laying that blueprint down. And one of the big things I seen from him is that he don't necessarily need to be the guy. The big thing about him is he has a great team around him at all times.
Mhm.
yeah. Your team got to be smarter than you too. I think that's one of the main things too. Is you got to have a team full of people that are smarter you on, at least on equal plane. And I think sometimes where people go wrong when they're leading these rooms is they like to be the smartest person in the room. And it's because of their ego. And a lot of times, you know, i.e. Mark Zuckerberg, he might have some smart people around him, but he feels that he's the smartest and he's in charge of that room.
Mhm.
So when you got people like him that are making decisions, sometimes those decisions could be, they could be beneficial to the masses. Sometimes they can be detrimental. It's just sometimes you kind of, outsmart yourself and using your own genius against you. But in the situation of Jay, not to say that he's not smart, he just smart enough to know if I really want to accomplish something, I need people that are smarter than me to help me in that room. And I think anybody that leads would want those same kind of people as well. Because you can't really truly get to a place if you don't have people around you that's helping you elevate. And what that does as a good leader is you should be able to facilitate those individuals, pushing them into positions of leadership as well. So this is an interesting question because when you think about it, you want to be able to float in the room, but as a leader, you want to be able to also control and manipulate that room, manipulate it to your advantage, where you're not taking advantage of people, but you're putting them in advantageous positions to excel and exceed. So it's a kind of it's a catch-22 in a lot of ways.
Mm.
Yeah, just one more thing I would add on to the leader, is yes, you need to have smarter people around you. And if you are the smartest, in some cases, you might not want to be in that room. But most importantly, your team, the ones that are smarter than you also need to know how are they smarter and how to utilize them to their full potential. Um, that's a mechanic that I think he's also flourished at because without having a team and the team to have the know-how, where do I put a John, or where do I put a Tim, or where do I put Susie or Sally? Like, how do I put them in place so that they can help us all grow as a team? I may be the leader and I may be the one, like, kind of just toying around and playing Tetris with them, but I'm putting them in a position to help the brand or the company or whatever the case may be, the empire, to move forward because, well, this person is great in IT, or this person is great speaking in front of people. This person is great with, accounting, and finance. So I need all of them to be at their full potential, but I can't put the finance person in the tech field or vice versa. Like, you got to know where to put each person. And I think that's even more important to just having great talent because having great talent and having people that's smarter doesn't really mean a whole lot if you're not utilizing them properly. I mean, we can still have
Mm.
a gang of smart people, but if I don't know what to do with them, am I still gonna get the result that Jay Z gets? So
Mm.
I just wanted to add that on to what you were saying, Mike, because that was and what you were saying was great as well. I just think you gotta also know how to use your resources.
For sure.
Okay. Well, let's pull it away from the business side then. Um, in the field that you're in now, actually, Ty, like you get to be in these seminars with other people who are also in similar roles as you, and then you have someone teaching to you folks, right?
Yeah.
What's some of the things that you, by being in that room, have been able to gather to apply in your own career path? Like, with, you don't got to be super like specific in your job and career, but
Right.
I mean, just some of the things that you can see that I really gained from being able to just be in the room.
I always take the approach because I early on, my management and people that were leading me wanted me to speak more because the little time that I did speak, I was saying something that was of value, and they wanted to get more of that out of me. But I was never the person that would be in the room and want to talk, or be in the room and want to share. Because I wanna when I get in a room, I'm trying to observe and feel the room out. I wanna see what everybody has to throw at the table. And so I tried my best to reserve whatever I had to add last. I never wanted to be first, because I didn't know the direction and I wasn't the leader anyways. But 2, I was always trying to just be a sponge, um, and I would take something from everybody, good or bad. And I would try to apply it to myself and be like, I don't think that could work for me, but I could spin it to make it like this. And after compiling all of that through that seminar or meeting or what have you, um, I would be able to voice my little take or spin, and add it to the equation. And that's kind of how I've always moved through the rooms that I've been in, sort of, with silence. But when I do have the time to speak, to be clear, um, precise, and effective. When I do get that opportunity, I gotta know that I need to be able to articulate something that gets me in the next room. Because believe it or not, these are all in my field. These have all been little small tests. Hey, does he know how to? Can he maneuver in this room? Okay, he did okay there. Can he go here? He did all right there. And can he? Can we? It's all like a plug and play. Is this person compatible? Does this person have the right attributes? Do they have the right personality? Do they bring value? So those are all the things that I try to align myself with before I'm speaking. And also too, I'm trying to have like my head and feet in the same space. Right. So when I am there, I'm really trying to practice on being present so I can give an effective answer and not be a meeting ahead in my mind or at home in my mind or whatever the case may be. Just kind of being present and listening throughout those opportunities. And then, you know, if somebody says something that I really like, I would, maybe pull them to the side before we dismiss or after we dismiss and connect with them. Because maybe they had something that they offered that I've been trying to work on. Maybe it was a area of opportunity for me, um, that I can improve on, and this person says something to relate to that. And then you kind of, after all the rooms, which I'm sure Jay Z has done too. He's building a book of resources and people to call, or people to connect with when something else comes to the forefront. And so I do that as well.
Anything you want to add, Mike? Or you?
I mean, we in the tech field is a little bit different. You know what I mean? It's different in a way because depending on the industry, those rooms are going to look very different. Those rooms are going to look different. The conversations are going to be different. It's all the same foundation, but working in healthcare and IT is different than working in finance IT. It's two different mediums. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
have different regulations you have to abide by. So you have different people that have different level of expertise. Um, some people don't necessarily understand the technical side of things. So you have to be able to not only break down information in layman's terms, but you also have to be able to have a level and develop a level of comfort among these people that, you know, being that we're one of the small group of people in this field, being in these rooms is very difficult. But I think the main thing that I've learned from one of my mentors when I started out was that having confidence in when you speak can go a lot further than what you actually know. And when you couple that confidence with the actual information and intellect, then you're a powerful being in that sense where you can navigate in any room and nobody's going to be able to take you off or knock you off your game. Um, so a lot of times, when we in these rooms, man, you want to put your best foot forward, but at the same time, you want to show a level of confidence. You want to show a level of intellect, and you also want to make sure that you provide um, you provide something that's lacking. And I think that's really the only way that you can get to that next room because you can get in that room and just sit there and say all this, but if it's not providing any, it's not if you're not a resource, then you're just another clog on the block. You know what I mean?
Funny you mentioned tech. I know we talked about Clubhouse before, but I'm
Hmm.
kind of gonna go somewhere with that. What I see in this in that platform is you get a lot of people who talk the talk as like experts. You know what I mean? Everybody's an
Hmm.
expert in their own mind. And what you end up having is a lot of people that just talk and talk and talk and talk, but you don't ever have that interaction where you feel like they actually are doing anything for anybody. You know what I mean? I think one of the turnoffs on the app is that a lot of people are like, man, everybody on there is an expert now. So if y'all are experts, how exactly are you helping anybody who could be attending this room?
Hmm.
They're talking a lot of code. They're talking a lot of, you know, talk down in a way almost. You know what I mean? If I was to just be an audience member and just be listening, a lot of it I'm gonna probably hear and I'm like, what are they talking about? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, what exactly is the end goal to this? Where we're trying to go? A lot of people telling everyone to invest and do this and do that and do this and this is how you move and maneuver in the career. And it's been some people who've been successful at actually networking and getting some people that mean some things in the industry that they're in. But what I find is that it's just a lot of people doing the word service, but it's not actually following through with, look, let's get together and let's make an Afro tech. Like this should be an Afro tech room in here. Like we should be talking about networking, how to be in these rooms when you're in these rooms. You know what I mean? Soaking up what you gain and like turn your phone off when you go in a room if you need to. Get numbers. Like go talk to people that you don't know. Ask them how, you know what I mean? Like where's those things happening at? Well, because I think one of the things I used to struggle with is you get invited to these rooms and you just don't know how to like maneuver. You just like, dang, I almost feel less than, you know what I mean? Start going through imposter syndrome. Like I
Hmm.
know this stuff, but I start to second guess myself because everybody's presenting in a way that it makes it seem like you don't really know what you're doing. But it could necessarily be them over pronouncing what they actually know. You know what I mean? Like we don't refer to it as this, but they referring it to as this.
Hmm.
And then what you end up finding out is you find a lot of con artists, a lot of people who just they're using that talk, they're using that tongue to kind of maneuver themselves around, but they might not necessarily know much.
Right.
Yeah. They're using other people's experiences as their own to try to make it profitable for them. And honestly I've noticed that in a lot of rooms. And I think some of the best rooms on that app are the ones where people just allow the people that they bring up to facilitate those conversations. The ones that's always led by the person who's facilitating or who's a moderator, those are the worst ones because it's more so a bloviating session. They just gonna big up every single thing that they did. Yeah, I've done this. I've been this way. I had lunch with this person last week. Okay, what substance does that provide to the people that are in this room? The 700, the 500, the 2,000. What substance does that bring to them that they can utilize to take back to one, use as a network tool, or better yet, to help them in their career? What are we
Mm.
doing here? Are y'all just talking about things that y'all did last week? If that's the case, I can just go to Fat Joe's Instagram live and just listen to him say what he did last week. Like I don't need to listen to you. Like, come on, man.
Why
uh,
Fat Joe get the smoke?
right.
No, 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 no. It ain't no smoke. But I'm just saying, like, that's somebody who will go up there and say certain things, but he'll tell you what he's doing, but he's also giving information. Some of y'all ain't got the credentials like he got. Like, let's just be honest. Like, some people don't really have any credentials. Y'all are just up there because you want to. But honestly, Bruce, to your point, I would love to see something like that. How about doing it? And I think sometimes it's not a conversation about Clubhouse, but we got too many things now where we don't really pool our resources together using these tools that we have. And I think that's a huge problem because everybody wants to be a leader in the room, but nobody wants to listen. And nobody desires to read the room fully to understand what's really needed here. People are joining these rooms and joining these conversations and going to these seminars because they want answers. They don't want to hear your story specifically. They want answers. They want viable solutions to make their lives better. How are you doing that? Telling them that you brought a testarossa does not help them. It doesn't.
It's a gloat session.
It's a matter of fact, it's a paid gloat session. You
Yeah.
paid to watch them gloat.
Yeah.
And what they're gonna do is take that money, they're gonna go buy another testarossa and they're gonna come back next year and tell you how they got two.
Yeah.
They're not gonna tell you how they got it. They're just gonna tell you they got 2, and they had to buy 1 for their wife too.
And that's what
Simple
I'm
as
saying with the people who just be experts of nothing. Like, I'm an expert, but you can't explain what you're an expert of. You can't explain the journey. You can tell us what you're doing, and I got this, I got that, and but what you really selling is hope without actually giving any groundwork on what to do to move. Some of the best rooms I be in be like, and I know we did like again, we're not talking this wasn't a clubhouse episode, but
yeah.
this does go to what is we're actually talking about.
Right.
One of the best rooms I was in was I forgot the gentleman who actually sponsored it, but he had majority of the people that be on Shark Tank. Damon John was in the room, Barbara was in the room, Mr. Wonderful was in the room, and they pulling people up from the audience. Got a question? Let it on the Sharks right now, and they're gonna give you what they think. So it's almost like you watching Shark Tank, but you actually having people that they don't know coming asking stuff.
Mhm.
That was when I was able to gather the most information on what I could do and how I could apply this stuff. Maybe the situations might not be the exact same, but just hearing that situation, if I find myself in that situation, here's someone who's actually been successful in this role, and I can actually take what they went through and what they possibilities was and lay that in as another possibility that I can look into and actually provide the information. These is people who are actually successful in it, and they weren't talking about themselves. They want to talk to you about what you doing and what they would think about looking at. Not telling you what to do. This is what you should look at. Look at this. I would think about this as well. Like think about this as well. Why would you go and get an investor if you don't have enough? Like you don't get enough sales. Like why would you want somebody to go have a percentage of the company that ain't made no money yet?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's something I see as being able because I'm done trying to look for just information for myself. I'm just thinking about it. The younger people, the people who are like from 18 to 20, 27, how they gathering information. You know what I mean? Because you got a lot of people who are curious who want to get into these roles because they see, man, Jay-Z's doing this, man. I want to figure out how he did it. And what Jay-Z did to get there ain't gonna work for everybody. So I can take some of that story and figure it out. But to be able to have these interactions with these people now, I mean, this is what this app is supposed to be about.
Mhm.
And then you just get a lot of people on there that just go on that soapbox and talking about, I made it from the grind, I grinded up, and I made it from this, and I did it for that, and they ain't giving no roles, no ideas. They just telling you their story, and it's just be like, how is that exactly helping like somebody else who's in the struggle trying to figure it out? Everybody telling people quit your day job, but ain't telling them what to do after they quit their day job.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah, I
just
think
going on tangents.
yeah, you no, you get it, but I think we gotta be careful of what we digest. I mean, it's always gonna be people like that, but to be honest, a fool is not gonna speak to himself or herself for much longer if there's nobody in the room but themselves. Um, so they have an audience. Somebody's coming to listen to them. They wouldn't do it if it was just them in the room by themselves. So let that audience be entertained by that, and you go find a room that's more productive for yourself. Now you gotta understand what you want, and you gotta understand that that's not the room that's gonna get you any answers towards that. And we got to be a little bit smarter about, and myself included, how we spend our time on these platforms, and what are we doing to better ourselves and other people in our environments. It's a space, I think, for everybody, because some people do want to be entertained. I guess they just want to listen to some fabricated stories, or they want to, I don't know what they get off of it, or what the case may be. But the moment I hear that on Clubhouse, I'm kind of gone, because the titles in some of these rooms can get you gravitated to it, just like clickbait on YouTube. You're thinking you're gonna digest some good stuff because it kind of relates to something that you're trying to do at the time. and so you jump in the room, but after, a couple minutes in the room or whatever, you hear just the moderators talking and nobody's coming up. They're not pulling nobody up. And I was like, is this kind of just self-service, or y'all could have just had a private room if this is what y'all wanted to do? But we got to be smart enough to not waste our time in that room if it's not going to be beneficial to us. And we shouldn't be, um, it shouldn't even be a matter of like giving them any type of energy for what they do, because that's not the energy we on. If it don't match, then we got to move on. You know what I'm saying? It's too much other things we could be focused on to get our goals and missions accomplished, to be worried about those types of individuals, because they do have a space to live in because someone's granting it to them. They do have an audience to give that information to because somebody keeps coming back. And it ain't one person; it's got to be multiple, or else they wouldn't waste their time doing it either. But I think it's more, we got to shift away from the negative and turn things more into a positive. If this is what is going on in this room and I'm not about that, move on to the next room or find a room that's more in tune with what you're trying to do. But I think people are gonna do what they're gonna do, man. It don't matter what
Yeah.
the platform was originated for. People gonna find a way to do what they're gonna want to do. And I think Clubhouse is, in some form or fashion, has gotten some negative connotations associated with it, just because we take what's negative, which is the most popular thing to take out of it, because that's I guess the crux of it that we get. And but we forget about like the little nuggets that we do get. Nuggets aren't gonna come tenfold. They ain't gonna just come at you all the time. And a lot of times they're undisguised. You gotta be observant enough to take it, or to shift it, or to twist it and to make it whatever you can make it into that's positive. But it's negativity everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's people that are out to do something that's not, in the grand scheme, great for all of us. And we just got to figure out what works for us.
Yeah, that's why we got positive tie, boy. 'Cause me and Mike
Man.
definitely pointed out all the negatives.
Yeah, and truth be told, like, and the truth be told, he's right, but at the same time, like, we gotta call people out, man. Like, we can't, if we know better, we got to do better.
Mm,
It's as
Yeah,
simple as
I
that.
this is but
And I,
the
and I
only
and I get
issue
it.
I got with that is the time we take to call somebody out is energy wasted that I could have put towards something positive. I get holding people
Hey,
accountable, but for me, I'm only speaking for me because I can't speak for everybody else. But if something negative, like, I don't even have time to digest the negative because I'm trying to think of something positive. I don't
mm,
even have time to give them any energy or to tell nobody about them because I'm a positive person. I'm always trying to find a positive spin on everything. And to some point, or to some of my detriment, is, maybe I'm trying to find positive out of a negative situation. There's never gonna be a positive, but my mindset is always like, hey, if this situation arises, how do I solve it, or how do I turn it into positivity? And that's just how I move. I don't have the time to tell anybody about something negative because, well, I don't know what that's gonna do to them. First and foremost, I don't know what type of day they having. Just to go tell them, hey, this is what I experienced. But I try to keep that energy away from people, and I'm not gonna give it no energy. Me personally.
mm. Hey man, I appreciate both sides. I appreciate both sides. Like I'm a firm believer as well that you gotta recognize both. Not necessarily call them out, but you gotta see both. You gotta see the negative and the positive, and then you move how you need to maneuver for what side you feel you need to be on. You know what I
facts.
mean?
Yeah.
It's not my job necessarily to say you were in the wrong, you should do this, you should be that. What it is for me is, oh, that's wrong thinking. He's not or she's not a person that I actually associate with, so I don't really need to do anything here. But if it's you doing this, meaning Ty or Mike, I'm gonna pull you aside and say, bruh, you might be looking at this wrong. Like, this is probably something you should be thinking about. Like,
Yeah.
just because it's on me to help my brothers make the right decisions, I don't need to necessarily take y'all out of my life just because of something that we disagree on. But I can also give you perspective. Say, hey, look, man, think about this, think about that. You know what I mean? So for these people that's in these rooms doing what they do, like Ty said, they all gonna do what they gonna do. But it definitely leaves me wanting or yearning for somebody to actually provide more material, not material. I'm sorry, provide something more of substance.
Yeah,
Because
I
what
agree.
Clubhouse doesn't allow for is when you're in these rooms with these people listening, there's no, and I'm about to give them something. There's nothing to chat amongst the audience. So, because obviously, if you're reading them titles, you're thinking, oh, they talking about this, and they end up talking about something else. You could be in the audience talking to the other audience members, trying to figure out, oh, this somebody I might like. Like me and them should probably link up and get your network base because y'all are in the same position.
Mhm.
Because that's something a lot of leaders won't tell you is that to be a leader, sometimes all you gotta do is talk to other like-minded people in the same place, and y'all can build together.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, y'all, I might have all the time in the world to do it. Because what I think, and Bruce made this point earlier, we got too many impressionable kids that are following these. And they need more people to actually speak to them, not for them. And when we start getting to these situations, they're the most impressionable people that we can find on this planet right now. And if you can get them in the mindset of doing what's right early on, catching them before they made mistakes, we're 30 plus years old. We all know what to do, but we're still learning and growing at the same time.
Mhm.
Those kids don't even know what the hell they're getting themselves into at 18. Their world is just starting. And what's scary and dangerous is there's so much misinformation out in the world that it might not ever get cleaned up. But we got to have avenues. We got to have people that are out there that are using that energy, that positive energy, speaking to them. We can't let these negative people run around here just spewing lies. That's what we can't do. We already got one guy that did that for 4 years.
Mm.
We can't keep doing that. That's got to die. And if positivity is cool, but I'm gonna meet you with some positive energy because I got all the energy in the world to say, hey, get the fuck out of here. We don't need that. I want people to speak to me directly. And I try to be in those rooms. And if I don't, then I got people that I can speak to outside of that. I don't need to go in these rooms. My circle is the same circle that I've had, and I can conversate with them. We can grow that way.
Yeah.
And I can maneuver in other different rooms. But nah, we gotta stop with this. Stop with the lies, man. The lies gotta chill.
No, I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. It's definitely I can feel the frustration.
Because it is frustrating, bro. Because I think about like I'm not gonna say that. It's just frustrating because I think what happens is sometimes the truth always gets drowned out because it's not profitable,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where this is going. Misinformation is profitable now. Misinformation gets you rich, and that's a scary thought.
Mm.
When misinformation and lies and deceit get you rich, it gets you famous, get you notoriety, get you book deals, get you a level of comfort in life and security. That's difficult because the people are working hard. And don't get me wrong, hard work will definitely get you there, just as easy and just as quick. But I think we have this huge misnomer that's going around like you can do these and get there. And that's not the case. It don't work for everybody like that. Everybody's not going to be a celebrity. Everybody's not going to be a basketball player. Everybody's not going to be a football player.
And being
Don't
a
tell you
celebrity don't make no change.
it don't. It don't.
You know what I mean? Like everybody's front trying so hard to be these celebrities and make this short term money. Like quick, fast money ain't never been good. Right? We learned that when we was young. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Neither of us partaked in the street life because we had people there to tell us or show us that that ain't it. That's
Yeah.
gonna be quick. It come quick and fast. It go quick and fast,
Hmm.
and you might end up using the rest of your life trying to break up for those quick and fast times. You know what I mean? So, no, I get it, man. I get on both sides, man. But I'm with Ty in a way. I think there's some more positivity needed out here, man. And maybe it goes on deaf ears right now. But if you putting it out there, especially on platforms like this, you never know. You might not be around for the when it actually makes the effect. And that's I mean, I know that's pessimistic, but we have it in history where people have actually laid it down and then it's like years and years and years later they figured it out. People figured out like, oh, they was on to something. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Just because they was late to it don't mean it's less of a classic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, but we up here, man. That's what we do, man. We gonna tangent and we gonna make topics of topics of topics. But
That
I
that
think
is
that's what
important though, what not to cut you off, Bruce, but
no, go ahead.
that is important, um, what Mike was saying, as it relates to the youth, digesting misinformation. Me personally, I know what helped me, obviously one is the village, but the village ain't gonna be the same for everybody. But two, um, was a mentorship program that kinda, grabbed me and switched my focus. And I think just as Bruce said, this platform and other mentorships that do go on in the world, I think need to be heightened. Those are what we need to see more of. Um, those are what we need to start creating more of, and I think that will kind of steer and keep people, the youth specifically, with knowing what is right and what's wrong, and knowing when they're being influenced and persuaded to do things that aren't in their best interest long term. And I think the more we can get,
Yeah.
those types of situations started and going, and I don't want to say started because they've been going for a while. It's
Hmm.
just a lot of
Get
them
more
are
light
like
to it.
entrenched in communities, and you got to be in that community to know about it, which is cool. I mean, we need them everywhere. But those, just like any other positive thing, as Mike said, isn't profitable. So it's kind of hard to get it to the masses. So it's important that maybe one person in every community, grabs two or three or four or five, however many they can bear. Um, and I think it just starts with one man, just saying hello to him. To be honest, I don't know about y'all, but
Yeah. Yeah.
even before coronavirus, man, just walking down the street, like, or walking not down the street, but like in a mall, like in a setting where you're passing in traffic with people. There's not a lot of that. Like, there's not a lot of, like, just people saying hello to each other, and I think that's the icebreaker
Mm.
to get to.
Well, no, I feel like the icebreaker is you also have to come in as a like minded somebody they can relate to.
Right,
I
but that's
think
not going
where a
that's
lot of
that's
mentor well the thing is this though, where a lot of mentorships fail is that you're not relatable. So why would I listen to you?
right, so
You know what I mean?
every situation is not gonna be in sync. I think the win is when you can find relatable ground to grab the person. That's a win. It's easy to relate to somebody when you're from the same place.
Yeah, but you mentioned at the walking down in the mall or something. If you're walking in the mall, like 9 times out of 10, that kid that's walking in the mall is there for a reason. So if you come in as a suit and tie guy and they don't relate, how you gonna actually find that person to relatability to be able to mentor?
Well,
You know
if
what I
that's
mean?
your
If you're in a business setting and these kids come in, then it's different because they are here for a reason. So to that
now
point, you saying, you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Like when I say that the relatability part.
right, I think you were going, like, way too deep with it. I was just saying the community-based stuff, right? You gotta be able to greet people. You gotta be able to come into the person's life. You can't throw yourself at them because 'cause I'm already at a loss. They don't even know where I'm coming from at that point. I think just generating some type of know-how, like, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm here for, not necessarily going and trying to have the mentorship at the mall, and I wouldn't address them with a suit and tie because you already look kinda weird, trying to be a mentor. but you gotta attract them in a certain way. Just like products and services grab your attention, you gotta go to where they are. But I'm just saying, just very general, very surface based. We don't do that enough to even get to that point. Like it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's not supposed to be comfortable to go and have a conversation with somebody about positivity. That's not none of that's gonna be. It's not gonna sync up like that, and it's gonna catch you off guard. But guess what? You're gonna go home and think about that. That's the stuff you. I mean, if it's too in tune with what you're doing and it's too overly saturated, you're gonna only go to what you know. You're not gonna go to a new form of that same saturation. But if someone was able to say one, two, three words to me, they may have been weird. They may have came at me weird, or I don't even know what this person is about. But trust and believe, when they go home, they are gonna think about whatever it is that I said to them. I was just in the store the other day, and there was a cashier that was going through two deaths. Um, it was a long line, but I listened for like maybe 3 minutes. I just listened for 3 minutes, and she was able to get off of her chest what was at the time very pressing to her, with kind of dealing with some arrangements and things like that. But do you know if the average person is going to stand there for 3 minutes? They probably already so focused on what's next, what's next, what's next. We're not really living in the present a lot of times, and we don't even give that person the opportunity. I don't know what that did for her, but I guarantee you it did something because maybe she was trying to tell that to somebody all day long and couldn't get it across. And I said a couple words to her, and maybe that helped her, maybe it didn't. But I think it's being present, just being observant, and we ain't trying to grab the world. It's just one at a time. It's make it real simple because you try to make it all complex and the levels, and this person's from this with that place, and that's when it gets too confusing. Just start simple.
I laugh when y'all were having this interaction, right? Because I thought about it. Because it's a running joke that we have. Y'all make fun of me every time people stop and talk to me, right? People just come out of nowhere. They randomly just talk to me for no odd reason. I have no idea why. They just do, right? But Ty hit it on the head though, because I want to say this because I feel like, and this ties back to the conversation that basically, what we're talking about here. How you move in a room sometimes really relates to how good of a person you are. Because Ty had a conversation with that young girl. I'm pretty sure he might not have seen the impact, but everybody that she came in interaction with after him, after that interaction, I'm sure probably felt her spirit lift. They were able to see it. Hopefully, everybody was able to respect that energy that she was giving out. All because she was down, but she had somebody that was saying, hey, it's okay. It's cool. Sometimes all people need is to hear somebody just listen to them. And I think when you give that little small sage piece of advice, or you just give that little 1, 2 to 3 minute ear just for somebody to kind of just get it off their chest, it makes them feel better. And it's sometimes moving in a room is a human element. It's just how do you move as a person? Some people can't move in rooms because they're not really good people. They're just not good people. You know what I mean? Like it's just I think we gotta. It's a human element too. We gotta just be better people sometimes when it comes to it. And I like I said, I agree with Ty. And not for the young people. I mean, hey, I can come to them in some skinny jeans and some in a jersey. They're gonna look at me like, hey, get your old ass up out of here, man. What is you doing, bruh? Them J's is from last year, bruh. I don't. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But it's just sometimes you're gonna get kids in the suit. Other times you're gonna get kids in some some 501s with some Vans and a dope shirt. It's just it's all about how you approach them, and it's really situation and timing is everything.
Yeah.
Situation and timing is everything because you can't do it just walking up to them in the store. But if you see them doing something incorrect and you kind of say, "Hey, I noticed you did that. How about trying to put take a little mustard off of it? Just kind of let it sit for a minute."
They
It's
gonna
it's
look
it's
at you
all
and say, "Man, shut up, old man. You don't know me." I'm
They
done.
might. No, no, listen, hey, listen, you right. You right. They just might. It's like, get your old ass out of here, bruh. They might.
Nah, it
Right.
just threw me off because Ty was talking about the mentorship. So that's why I was like, what? What now? What y'all going at? Yes, just being able to carry yourself is different. Like, yeah. But I
And
mean,
what you
sometimes in
saying is straight though
carrying,
too.
yeah, sometimes in carrying yourself, you don't want to over produce or over
Yeah.
extend because that's also recognizable as well. If it's not in you to be like, how you doing today? When somebody speaks to you, just say, hey, and just keep it moving. At least acknowledge it. I think that's
Yeah.
the thing that people get mixed up because I'm not one of the people who like to talk to people I don't know. I'm not a small talker. So when I had those interactions, I just be courteous. You know what I mean? Hey, how you? I'm good. Thank you for asking. You know what I mean? But that's just me as a male. I'm not gonna tell everybody that how they should maneuver, but you know what I mean? Just kind of get the energy that you've been given back to that person.
Mhm.
In a
Yeah.
positive sense. I'm not saying if somebody come at you negatively to come back at them negatively, but just kind of treat it with a little taste, a little sprinkle of
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And like I said, what you said wasn't wrong. It's I people go do that too. The kids like shit, bro. You ain't authentic. You come to me with a suit on. Like, how can I relate to you?
Yeah, I mean, those are important things to note. You
Yeah,
can't expect to get what you're expecting if you don't present yourself in the right time and in the right manner, in the right fashion. So no, I mean that's a very important piece of the equation because that's part of the relatability. Um, but I think one thing too is just like when somebody trying to sell you something, you trying to do too much on the first interaction. First let's try to get to a place where we're comfortable with each other. I may tell you what I have to offer, but I'm not expecting you to jump on it right now today. And I think those are the most successful people um, in sales. Not to go way left or right, but in some form or fashion, we are selling something. Um,
mm,
what our experiences are, and it may not be in the form of monetary a transaction. It just may be in the form of like, hey, I'm here to kind of just I see this. You have aligned yourself with me, so I'm gonna give you this little piece of whatever it is. Maybe it can help you in the future. And I think just the small seeds, just planting like, hey, because it can be a very cold world in a lot of different places that we don't even know about. This can be non-existent to somebody that's looking for somebody to just say hello. And then maybe that's the icebreaker for the next conversation and the next one and the next one. And just everybody's gonna have a bad day, man. Everybody's gonna have something that they're going through, whether they want to talk about it now, later, tomorrow. Just it's just building a comfort zone that say, hey, you can come to me without explaining all of that on the first
yeah,
interaction, because that's way too much to explain on day one.
yeah.
But
Like the
I just
people at the
want you to
mall
know that
selling
I
them
see
cell
you.
phones.
Exactly. Now those they gonna walk into the fountain and fall in there and get wet. But but
or
yeah.
or selling proactive. Either one. I mean,
Oh, man. But yeah,
I ain't
yeah,
want to
that's
step on
it.
your point. Yeah, man. But it's interesting times, man. Interesting times. Is it fair to say that you can essentially that it's required to be able to do both? That you got to be able to float amongst people you don't know, but you also have to be able to lead people that depend on you.
I don't think it's a requirement. I think it would be beneficial if you could do both, but I don't think I mean, it's gonna be dependent upon, what your visions and missions are, to know if you need both or not. But I don't think it could ever hurt you having a little bit of both. Maybe you're not the master of it, but you got a little bit to make it work for yourself.
yeah. Honestly, I think Tyler's right on that point. But I think for me, I do think you have to have a combination of both because certain times certain rooms are gonna require you to be a leader, and other ones are gonna require you just to be able to float around and obtain knowledge, to be observant and just to be a sponge. So you kind of have to have a little bit of level of both. Now, whether you use more one than the other, that's a personal preference. But I think at times, we all have multiple hats that we have to juggle from time to time in life. That's just what life is. So
Yeah.
I do think at some point in time, you're gonna have to be able to do that in a lot more ways than one. In a lot of situations that really aren't in your favor either.
Hey, you heard it here first, man. That's it. I mean, ain't nothing else to really put on it for real. I ain't trying to over season the food. Shoot.
Nah,
Been marinating long
we gonna-
enough.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
We're gonna put a bow on that and send that right to DoorDash. Oh man! And on that note, man, we thank y'all for listening to another episode of the Whiskey and Wisdom podcast. Please check us out on our social accounts: Twitter, Whiskey and Wiz, WISD1. Also on Instagram, Whiskey and Wisdom podcast. Make sure you also go listen, stream, and subscribe on the audio platforms: SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud, and Spotify. Whiskey and Wisdom podcast. Thursdays, the video will be up on YouTube. Check us out and listen to us. You get a chance to see our face. Whiskey and Wisdom podcast is a channel. Subscribe, like, share, and please get involved with the conversation. Until next time, for my brothers Bruce, Tyrone, this is Mike. Listening is learning, and we out. Peace.
See.